What's up, guys? Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1,
and we're back at it to answer your questions in another installment of For the Greater. And this time, Gersh is going to tell you what it is, what it isn't, and what it will forever be known for all time, including 40k.
Yeah, so this is a video series where you, the viewer, can ask us a question about the lore, about your life, or about GW in general. And then we try to answer it 3 times a week, or we do these videos 3 times a week. We don't answer your one question 3 times a week.
We will next time.
Next time. But this question, so if you want to have a question, comment it down below. Put question in front of your question because it's easier for us to get to those. And that's what L. Vasquez said, or did. And his question is, if a Tyranid hive fleet absorbed a Primarch, do you think it could produce a Tyranid being of comparable power and intelligence? What specific traits would it have based on the Primarchs? Whew. I see where you're coming from, because the lore is that the Tyranid hive guard, right?
I believe it's Hive Guard.
Yeah, the hive guards actually absorb the genetic material or the gene seed of a space marine, thus creating the hive guard. So you're playing with your hair.
Trying to.
So if they do that to a Primarch, there is a possibility that we will have a beast of a Tyranid bioform.
Even tougher than the Swarm Lord.
Yeah, but at the same time, the Tyranid hive mind does that in response to
a certain stimulus.
Right. So even though a Primarch is an extremely powerful being, maybe the hive mind will find that it's not so much creating one super being to fight another super being, but maybe like attacking it with a swarm,
right?
Tying it up, kind of like you as a general of your army. If you have some big bad, I don't know, what's your giant Tau battlesuit?
The Storm Surge.
The Storm Surge. Usually, as an orc player, I don't send out like my war boss trying to destroy that. What I do is I try to get as many boys to lock it up so it can't shoot.
Right.
That's not going to be possible anymore in the new edition, but that's what I used to be able to do. So maybe the hive mind will go that route and say, this Primarch is extremely powerful.
There's 50,000 gaunts coming at him.
Yeah. But we could still hope and dream that it would be like a super powerful being, or a super powerful, what did you say?
Like a Swarm Lord?
A Swarm Lord, yeah.
With like 8 arms.
8 arms, and Gilliman's sword for some reason. That would be pretty bad, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, because if that's like, okay, so think of it this way. So if Gilliman does use his sword against a swarm, and they would kind of take it, because they do respond to stimulus like that. So for example, when the Tau were fighting the Tyranids, their plasma weaponry was being nullified because they were adapting to plasma weapons.
Right.
So would Gilliman's sword, since it's literally like psychic fire, would the Tyranids be able to counter that with like Shadow of the Warp or something?
Or maybe Shadow of the Warp will evolve into something much more powerful. Where, like, because I'm pretty sure Shadow of the Warp, like, it like kills off the power of the psychers.
Right.
But this is a concentrated psychic, beam almost. So maybe it would be like developing not something to like make it weaker, but something just to completely block it, like a shield.
Oh yeah.
An anti-psychic shield.
Shadow of the Warp shield.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Next question.
This next one is by Florian. How possible do you think it is that the Alpha Legion are actually double agents for the human empire within the reaches of chaos?
Very probable.
Yeah, possible.
Yep.
The Alpha Legion is very mysterious in that we don't really know what their agenda is. They appeared, well, they're chaos. They have officially aligned with chaos during the Horus Heresy, but we don't know if that was under secret orders from Malgador the Sigillite to the Emperor, or what is even going on with Alfarius and Omega. So
yeah, because the big story behind that is that the was it the Illuminati? No, it was the
Cabal.
The Cabal, which is like an organization of a bunch of aliens, probably old ones, but they came to the Alpha Legion and said, like, in order for chaos to be defeated, the Emperor has to die.
Right. And
Alfarius and his Alpha Legion, being the secretive, like, cool guys, of course, they didn't want to kill their father, but at the same time, they might have seen another way where they could not kill the Emperor and still defeat chaos, because they are secretive and they can see as much as they might have seen another eventuality other than what the Cabal had seen. Does that make sense? Watch our video on the Cabal, that will explain everything. I think it's titled The Cabal, but the image is like if Horus would have won the Horus Heresy or something like that. Good question though.
Marcos Xochihua. I think that's how you say it. Will the Imperium ever be able to take fight to the warp, such as invading the warp and attacking the Chaos Gods at its source with all the resources at their disposal?
That's a good question. I don't think so.
No. One of the main reasons why it probably won't happen was in order for them to launch this kind of a crusade into the warp, they're going to leave everything in real space vulnerable. Because the warp is basically like invading somebody's turf, you know. Whenever demons die, they go into the warp, so it's like a timeless area where if you send somebody there, most likely you're going to need everything at your disposal to fight these like ever-living demons and whatnot. So
yeah, and going into the warp, you have to remember that it's an army with a limited amount of resources going to a location or against a foe that has an unlimited amount of resources.
Right.
When you enter the warp and you enter a domain of the Chaos Gods, they can stretch it out. So, for instance, like pacifying an entire sector can happen to the Imperium or for the Imperium because their fleets, because the sector itself doesn't expand or anything like that. Whereas if you go into the warp and you're trying to pacify a realm of I'd say Khorne can all of a sudden double his realm in size because, or as far as like the perception of humans, and then you're screwed.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have a theory that one of the Lost Primarchs, his legion might have gone into the warp, and I'll get more into that once we create our lore on the Lost Primarchs. But yeah. Next question comes from Orko Feroz. Do you feel disappointed with all the new models and rules? To me, it's the same. You can use the old models like proxies. All the new shit are for Smurf wannabe fans. There is a lot of Smurf wannabe fans. Well, no, nobody wants to be a Smurf fan. I think it's just GW thinks that it's the easiest chapter to promote for. But am I upset? A little bit. I'm not gonna lie. The reason that I'm upset is like now I look at the Primaris Marines and I see them side by side next to like
the regular ones.
Regular Marines, and the regular Marines look so goofy because you notice how the shoulder plate is so huge compared to the beautifully like proportioned Primaris Marines.
Yeah.
And then that's not even talking about the Terminators. Terminators right next to a Primaris Marine. You're like, oh fuck. So I'm gonna have to redo my entire army when I haven't even started my regular army.
That's exactly how I feel. It's like I've been doing all this work and everything for my 11th Legion, and it's like, oh, now I gotta redo the rules. Like, how are Primaris Marines gonna fit into my lore? I mean, it's fun, but at the same time, it's like, is this past year just gone to waste, basically?
Yeah. But again, the bright side is the models themselves look amazing.
Yeah.
So, and Primaris Marines did not ruin my orcs, so I still have my backup Xenos. So if you play Warhammer 40k, or if you just got into the game, have a backup army.
That's
always right. A Xenos backup army.
I mean, I guess you could kind of make it work with Grey Knights, unless there's going to be Grey Knight Primaris Marines, which I don't even want to jump into that.
Yeah, because that is crazy.
This one's by Daniel Scaife. If the Emperor dies, what's the point of anything anymore?
If the Emperor dies, there's a huge point, so it becomes a completely different, I guess, world. It's post-apocalyptic almost.
Well, more than what it is now.
Yeah, because right now it's like about the Imperium defending and sustaining their control over their territory.
Right. With the Emperor being at the center of everything.
Right. If that happens, then all of a sudden you have segmented portions of the Imperium who are doing the same thing, but everything's just broken down.
Right.
Whereas like right now, the lore, we're getting into the lore of the law, the Imperial Law. We're getting into the Adeptus Arbitus, the Sisters of Battle, the Inquisition. All that will crumble because all that needs big government or big imperial like
stronghold.
Yeah, but yeah. So hopefully it never dies.
Hopefully.
This question comes from the Chris Jackson Show. If there were only 20 Primarchs, how could there be the twin Primarchs, Alfarius and Omegon, of the Alpha Legion? I asked that question multiple times, and in the lore, it says that that was not the intention. That was never known by the Emperor until he found them. And then he was like, okay. But at the same time, to all the other people, there was only one.
Yeah.
So to the history books, Alfarius and Omegon
were one and the same.
One and the same.
His name is Alfarius Omegon, not Alfarius and Omegon.
Yeah. And then he says, surely that would make 21 Primarchs, or am I missing something? Surely the God Emperor and their brothers would notice this. Nah, he's sneaky. Or they're sneaky. Great job, by the way. Keep it up. Cheers. Another thing to mention, too, Alfarius was the size of all Space Marines.
Right, so he was like not a big, hunking behemoth of a Primarch.
Right.
Yeah.
So he actually like blended in with his other just legionnaires. Next question.
This one is by Sassy Saddles. How come nobody talks about Primarch Perturabo? This guy needs some light.
A lot of people talk about him. He's a big part of why the Imperial Fists are the way that they are.
Yeah, they got that rivalry.
Yep, he's a big role in the events after the betrayal of Calth, when what's his name? The Ultramarine Primarch? Guilliman chased Lorgar. And it was like Lorgar, who was the other one? Was it Angron? No.
Angron was there.
Yeah,
Because he became a demon prince while he was fighting.
And then Alfarius was there too, yeah. Or not Alfarius, the Perturabo.
Yeah. And also he had a big part to play with Fulgrim actually ascending to become a demon prince.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, the lore is out there. It's just that not many people talk about them. And at the same time, their color scheme's kind of goofy. It's like construction work.
Yeah. I always get those guys mixed with the Iron Hands. It's like the Iron Warriors and the Iron Hands. They just blend into one. But, one's loyalist, one's traitor.
Next question. Do you have one or?
Yeah, this one's by McSmokey9. You hear a great deal about what the different Chaos Gods are up to, but I never hear or see anything about Gork and Mork other than the fact that they are worshipped by orcs. What the hell is up with those two? Is there some obscure lore out there that I haven't seen? Thanks, guys.
They just haven't talked about what happened to, because like Gork and Mork, their lore is connected to Gatsgul Magurthraka. So his lore, if you watch I think it's like 10 episodes of his Battle for Armageddon. So he got the Battle for Armageddon going, and then all of a sudden he felt like tired and like felt like he can do more. So he got another vision by Gork and Mork that he needed to leave. So he left, and he wanted to continue to talk to Gork and Mork, and what ended up happening is that he gathered together like a bunch of weird boys trying to communicate or trying to channel Gork and Mork, and it did. Like he got another vision, and that vision led him to I forget the planet, but it's a planet where the Tyranids were just about to wipe out an orc-controlled sector. And then all of a sudden, Gatsgul showed up because Gork and Mork told him to, landed with his rocks, and just pushed back the Tyranids, and then the battle just commenced all over again, and the orcs were fueled up, and now the Tyranids and the orcs are just clashing with each other. And that's the last we've heard of Gork and Mork doing anything. Yeah.
They really need to do something. This one's by Adventure Games Maniac. Is Robut Gilliman interested in looking for missing Primarchs? And if so, which Primarch will he try bringing back first? Lore-wise, he's not interested in bringing any Primarchs back. Right now, he's focusing everything on the Indominus Crusade, which is basically helping out all the other Space Marines chapters that have been effed in the A, thanks to that great warp rift that basically split the galaxy in two. So he's fighting chaos with the help of his Primaris Marines, Call, Saint Celestine, and his whole clan, his whole group, his squad. So he's just busy fighting, doesn't have time to do anything else.
Alexander Schneider. If I drive a red Mustang, a cop pulls me over and gave me a ticket because red makes cars go faster. That is actually something in real life that happens. If you drive a red car, you're more likely to get pulled over just because it's red. Mm-hmm. If I paint my car purple, could I sneak past him? Or should I paint it yellow and smash right through his vehicle and be unscathed? So if you paint it yellow and you smash into the cop, both of you guys will explode, because yellow makes things go boom.
Right.
And if you paint it purple, yeah, you will sneak through if you're an orc. And if you're an orc, you shouldn't be worried about getting a ticket. You should be concerned with, building up your wall. So this question is irrelevant, Alexander. Next question.
Jason Fisk. What is the best army for a noob to start off with? Human, Xenos, Chaos, or other?
Like we said, Imperium.
Imperium. So yeah.
And have a backup of Xenos. Right now, you should really invest in those that like bundle where it's like the codex, and then you have the starter set. Yeah, it's like $110, and you get the rules and you get your
models. Yeah.
Yep. And those were the questions for this week, guys. Thank you so much for participating. Comment down below if we did not get to your question, and yeah,
always hit us up on our social media sites. For example, Patreon, where we do epic exclusive content, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. That's all we got, guys. I'm the Sound Alchemist.
Gershwan.
We are One Mind Syndicate, and we are out of here.